The Goth subculture is the one that hasn't perished, or perhaps more accurately, is still alive. The subculture's style has endured because of the extraordinary depth of the cultural heritage it draws on, as well as its amazing adaptability, or capacity to incorporate new elements into an aesthetically identifiable whole. Like its music, Goth's visual aesthetic has left a lasting legacy that inspires designers, artists, and today's youth long after it was first popularized. Punk and early Goth fashion had many of the same references. Subcultural fashion in Britain in the late 1970s and early 1980s was heavily DIY. For many young people, an unplanned approach to style became essential during the economic downturn of the late 1970s. This continued to be a sort of opposition to a mainstream culture that fetishized riches as the economy expanded in the latter 1980s. In keeping with the enduring spirit of punk, those who were interested in alternative fashion would manufacture their own clothing and accessories, recycle army surplus, raid charity stores and jumble sales, and adapt high street fashion. The durability of the subculture has been largely attributed to this innovative approach to fashion. Changing things up and modifying what you discover to suit your own style has always been a part of Goth. By focusing on images of death and decadence, the Goth aesthetic set itself apart from punk. As a result, it appeared to capture the essence of Margaret Thatcher's Britain, a society whose policies that promoted the breakdown of the social fabric served as the foundation for prevailing ideas of success and riches. One essential component of the style was the use of tall, backcombed, black-dyed haircuts. But as the 1980s went on, Goth fashion evolved, incorporating styles from various subcultures including rockabilly, metal, and even hippie psychedelic, as shown by Kate Bush and Stevie Nicks. The 1980s saw the rise of Goth fashion. Victorian Romanticism combined with dark apparel inspired by rebellious punk aesthetics to create the Goth fashion trends of today. Pale skin was previously highly desired, as seen by Victorian beauty standards. For this reason, many Goths tone their complexion using corpse paint or pale foundation. This is then paired with a variety of accessories, tight-laced corsets, and long, exquisite gowns. Punk culture added leather, spiky accessories, and black makeup. This combination of two radically contrasting styles really contributed to the development of Goth fashion into what it is today. Even though the Goth music movement started to wane in the early 1990s, Goth fashion started to show up on the runways. The British designer Alexander McQueen's work was the most notable example of this. His unyielding designs explored the macabre in ways that delighted both high fashion insiders and the alternative scene. Meanwhile, high street replicas of designer trends made Gothic fashion more accessible to the general public. Some felt that the countercultural charge of Goth was diminished by this commodification. A fashionable Goth style got more and more expensive to get, in contrast to the do-it-yourself culture of the 1970s and 1980s. However, the subculture remained strong and grew to include new inspirations. Cybergoth emerged in the later 1990s as a result of a fusion with dance music culture. A gloomy, post-human future was suggested by ensembles that combined neon hair extensions, enormous platform boots, and tech accessories like masks and goggles. The subculture's globalization also gave rise to new fashions. The goal of the Japanese Gothic Lolita style was to transform the wearer into a Victorian doll. Gothic Lolita, which was widely distributed through manga and anime in the early 2000s, had a significant impact on Western Goth fashion. It indirectly influenced cute Gothic styles such as pastel goth, which is Goth fashion in the sweet, kid-friendly hues that the subculture previously disapproved of. At the same time, a lot of Goths developed a fascination for historically accurate costume recreations, which evoked historical fashions influenced by the Gothic literary and cinematic traditions. Goth fashion is controversial. It makes sense that subcultures would object to outsiders taking their style. Whether subgenres and related styles like steampunk or emo may be classified as goth or not is a topic of much discussion. Even while it might be challenging to settle the specifics of these arguments, goth's durability is largely due to its diversity. Goth is a rich, multifaceted aesthetic that draws from a wide range of literary, artistic, and cultural inspirations. It is not just one look or style. Because it can adapt to new needs, it is highly durable to cultural change. Goth is a dynamic tradition rather than a static one. Furthermore, the subculture is still being seized and shaped by new generations of Goths. Both music and fashion have been greatly impacted by the Goth subculture, which has produced a distinctive and timeless style. Goth is known for its dramatic, gloomy fashion, which frequently includes black clothing, leather, lace, corsets, and accessories like piercings, chokers, and a lot of makeup. The style ranges from cyber and pastel goth interpretations to Victorian and punk inspirations. Post-punk and darkwave music gave rise to goth, which was influenced by Susie and the Banshees, Bauhaus, and The Cure. It is characterized by moody, evocative, and even eerie melodies paired with reflective and poetic lyrics. Industrial, techno, and metal elements have all been incorporated into Gothic music over time, expanding its appeal while preserving its distinctively enigmatic and gloomy quality. All things considered, Goth blends music and dress into a single cultural identity that values uniqueness, emotional complexity, and creative expression.